Daniel Ricciardo's arrival has set the cat among the pigeons at Red Bull. His new role may be a media man / second or maybe third backup, but with the Perez Verstappen drama at the end of the season, plenty of people are seeing him as a direct threat to the Mexican. Obviously, no one at Red Bull is actually going to say Daniel is there to put pressure on Checo, but is he? And what does Sergio Perez have to say about the situation? Let's check it out. Daniel Ricciardo's exit from the grid next year is sad, but also unsurprising. He's been well below the required standard this year, and the plummeting path his career has taken needed to be halted. He himself said that everything just became too much. Too much pressure from himself, too much from his team, and too much from the outside world. Everyone has a point where they say enough is enough, and good on Daniel for being brave enough to say stop. He definitely could have gotten a seat if he wanted one. I'm sure Haas would have welcomed him with open arms. But by the sounds of things, a year away from the grid is exactly what he needs. Daniel has said that he needs stability. 2 years at Renault and then 2 years at McLaren after leaving Red Bull has required him to adapt a lot, which Daniel thinks has had a negative effect on his performance. As he looks to refresh and recuperate before trying to return to the sport in 2024, stability is what he needs. I also thought, I was more like, look, I've obviously jumped around a bit the last few years, and maybe a bit of familiarity would be good for me. Just go back and work with people I've worked with before, added Ricciardo. So, why is Red Bull signing Ricciardo seen as a threat to Perez? He doesn't want to drive on a team in 2023, he said that himself. Well, having an 8-time race winner sat in the back of the garage, under contract with the team, gives you the option to make a change mid-season if need be. Sure, teams can normally do that, but most of the time, the reserve is the rookie just learning the ropes. Not someone you want to throw in after pulling a seasoned veteran like Perez out of the car. The media scrutiny would be unbearable. Ricciardo, on the other hand, doesn't have to learn to drive the cars and knows what to expect from an F1 race. It would be a fair bit less stressful situation for him. Even if Ricciardo isn't needed to step into Checo's car mid-season, he would have been driving the 2023 and 2024 car in the simulator all year. If Red Bull decide at the end of the year to cut Perez's 2-year contract short, they would have a reinvigorated Daniel Ricciardo, with a point to prove, sitting in the garage and ready to race. But why would they want to make the swap? In normal circumstances, you never know what's going on behind the garage doors. The team's press time is carefully curated to spread the messages the team wants to spread. But the team radio from Max Verstappen during the Sao Paulo Grand Prix seemed to be a sneak peek under the garage door at a potentially fractured garage. One where Perez and Verstappen aren't the bestest of racing buddies. If that relationship becomes problematic for the team, there's only one loser, and that is Sergio Perez. I love Checo. He has had an outstanding career and has been an incredible ambassador for the sport. But when it comes to Sunday, you're always going to pick Max over Sergio. You might think that all of this talk of Daniel Ricciardo being placed as a threat to Checo's place on the team would have him unsettled, but actually the opposite is true. Sergio Perez is unfazed about the prospect of Daniel Ricciardo waiting in the wings as Red Bull's third driver next season, knowing that pressure is a part of Formula 1 and saying the move doesn't change anything for him at the team. The Red Bull driver, who picked up his third-place trophy for the Drivers' Championship at the FIA prize-giving gala in Bologna on Friday night, is happy to have Ricciardo on board. "I'm pretty relaxed," Perez told Sky Sports at Red Bull's Milton Keynes show run on Saturday, celebrating the team's title success near the factory. "I mean, we live under a lot of pressure all the time. It doesn't change anything from my side. I think it's a great achievement for the team to have a driver like Daniel, and he's going to contribute a lot to our team. He's a great guy. He's one of the guys that I get on with the most in the paddock. So I think it's just great to have Daniel in the team. And from my side, it doesn't change anything." Sergio is right. It really doesn't change anything for him. All he can do is continue to drive to the best of his ability and try to provide the team with the points needed to win another Constructors' Championship next year. Red Bull aren't expecting him to win races. In the nicest way possible, they want him finishing second, because Max will more reliably win races. Let Max take care of the Drivers' Championship. Checo's job is beating Max's rivals to limit their points. For Ricciardo himself, he acknowledged he'll know for certain whether or not he will want to come back to Formula 1 full-time when the cars begin racing without him next year, and the only way of knowing is to see it happen. "I would be very, very surprised if I watch races, especially when I'm at the track, and I'm not wishing I was out there and not wishing I was competing and stuff like that," Ricciardo recently explained on the In the Fast Lane podcast. I think that's also the beauty of next year. Having that time off, it'll give me that hard answer, of what I truly want. And also, I could watch round 1 and I'll be like, I don't want to sit out this whole year. And then that will just build into something probably really positive for me over the course of 23. And then if an opportunity arises in 24, then I feel like I'll just be foaming at the mouth. If Daniel is foaming at the mouth come the 2024 season, then Red Bull might decide that he's better placed to help them achieve their goals than Sergio Perez is. When I think of Daniel foaming at the mouth, ready to race and wanting to win more than anything else in the world, I think of him at Red Bull all those years ago. Christian Horner has fond memories of those times together, when Daniel was his main man. He said Daniel leaving Red Bull was a mistake at the time, but from everything the two have said, they seem to be friends now, and Horner still has a huge amount of respect for the Australian's driving ability. Daniel was a competitor for Verstappen in the early seasons they spent together, though Max did get the upper hand on Ricciardo in their last year together in 2018. The 79-point gap between the two was probably due to Ricciardo's 8 retirements in the 21 race season. Max had 3 that year. But do Red Bull actually want a competitor to Verstappen? They may have extended Checo's contract earlier this year, but Horner has admitted that Sergio can't compete with Max. Max Verstappen clearly won the teammate duel at Red Bull on his way to his second Formula 1 championship in a row. The Dutchman added a total of 454 points to his tally with 15 race wins. Both are now new Formula 1 records. In terms of points, Sergio Perez also had by far his best Formula 1 season with 305 points. But the gap of 149 points to Verstappen is quite significant. Especially frustrating, this meant that the Mexican missed out on second place by 3 points against Ferrari driver Charles Leclerc. You have to look at the season as a whole, says Red Bull team boss Christian Horner, when asked about the World Championship situation surrounding Perez. And I think both Checo and Charles will regret missed opportunities. And for Charles, it was a few more than for Checo. Horner does fail to mention that a lot of Charles' missed opportunities were due to his team and not the Monegasque's driving. Whether it was reliability or strategy, Ferrari massively let him down over the year. You have to look at performance over a year, not a single race, and Checo had the best year he's ever had in Formula 1. He won the Monaco Grand Prix and his drive in Singapore was outstanding, praised Horner. At the same time, however, Horner dodges a question of whether Perez will be a serious competitor for teammate Verstappen in the future. I think Max is driving at a level where I'm not sure anyone would be able to replicate what he's done this year with the way he's driving at the moment. Is Checo's best ever season going to be enough to keep him on the team? Does it matter how well he drives if him and Max being in the same garage is bringing discourse? And would having Daniel back on the team instead of Perez actually make any difference to the inter-team relations? Because you know that when Daniel comes back, he's going to want to be fighting for race wins. There is a lot for Red Bull to consider, and signing Daniel has given them plenty of options, which is always a good position to be in. What do you think though? Should Checo be worried, or is he right to be laid back? Let us know your opinions in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.